the jump through because I was driving and setting things up quickly. But I think I was going to call this one. Oh, that's right. I was talking about the Mandela Effect, or something like that. Right? So, yeah. So, hey guys, my content over the last couple of weeks has been for a very, very, very niche audience, and I've, pulled down like about half of it because I'm done talking to that audience and leaving that message for that audience. I meant every word I said, but there's no need to leave it around. It's not really good for anything, right? Here I am in full disclosure mode. Dox me, motherfucker. Excuse me. Mandela Effect. So yeah, I had this amazing interview a couple weeks ago that I haven't really had a chance to fully unpack and think about because related unto it in my personal life, I had I had an issue rock me emotionally. I decided to have it out publicly, and now here we are, and I want to talk about the Mandela Effect because that's what the show is about. So I had James True on, and I've been a member of his Patreon for a number of was I on his Patreon for like a year or something? Like, I don't know. I've been, because I've been listening for a very, very long time. It started building an internet association. There was all the live chatting and whatnot going by. I built rapport with him. It was awesome. And went to 5.5 and all that stuff. I stuck around for the aftermath of that. I was a Patreon for a while at one level, but also was liked, and so I was invited on airships despite that. And eventually I got my game up. But even before I got my game up and jumped my level to the pay to get into the airship. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to throw it out there. I wasn't even 100% sure what I really wanted to talk about. Right, but I had been itching just because conversations between us on Patreon were good, and he's got ideas about every little angle of things. So I said, it'll pop up, it'll happen. The first time I asked, it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time at all. I personally had some work to do on myself, and that was a big reason why it wasn't the time, right? Because I am not just there to study. Some of his philosophical principles and his takes on what we see happening in the world in real time, like talking about the Notre Dame Cathedral. He's done a lot of stuff and done a little bit of a reprise of that. Then he came to me and said, yeah, I still want to take you up on your offer now, right? So like these are feelings in the backdrop leading up, right? These are feelings in the backdrop. So I've got, so this was an important moment for me. Because of all of that stuff, right? It also makes this interview something I'm proud of on a more personal level, because I worked on myself to a certain degree, and it felt like I earned it on that merit. To have him on, he's the one that proposed the Mandela Effect, which I think I understood why, because he saw that I'm sitting there, I'm swimming in Martin Heidegger. And I'm like, yeah, yes, right? And I was delighted that that's what he wanted to talk about, because that's been a big deal. It's part of the reason why I read Heidegger. I've worked at the volunteered at Christopher Anatra's known as the Quantum Businessman at the Mandela Effect conference. I did some help there. I asked some cool questions and things like that, and it was great to hear his take on it, because he would have the kind of take that I think there's a lot of open-minded people out there, but it can also be very, very tough, because his take is very much going into a mirror and making and it's because he's talking about how it's effectively like, he didn't say it and I didn't say the word Watiko, but I think that effectively it's associated with Watiko. I wanted to, I haven't even asked him that yet, or mentioned that, saying, hey, listen, when you said, or did I and I forgot that I did afterward. I definitely didn't during the show, but I did afterwards. I think bring it up. But yeah, as a kind of a Watiko, and Watiko is that's going to be associated with very, very deep issues that are actually part of the evil forces that I'm fighting on a bigger level, right? So by him making that proposition and me really sitting on that, and because it's asking you, the very concept that it's coming from a collective egregore that I would say is perpetrating Watiko, is to say that a major principle that you're looking at is like, for some reason, oh my God, timelines have changed. But the actual reality is that we who are experiencing the Mandela Effect were under this hallucination. And I don't believe it's because we're weak or something, or fools or anything like that, because this is something that I believe that this is something that goes and gets in there in your childhood, because I definitely have the continuity of various things that I am certain I remembered from learning it for forever. And the thing is that there's got to be something to it, because it's not just you remembering it exactly that way unsolicited, right? Which is why it's a collective egregore. It's part of a spell that captures a whole lot of people, and then it comes out unconsciously in your day-to-day life when you misspeak and you think you're speaking correctly about something. If I'm in passing, like if somebody didn't point out Mandela Effect to me, I may have some comment where I mention Eisenhower on the dime, right? If I don't know, that I've been tricked into things, and it's just like, yeah, your heart's off to the left, or whatever. Somebody's like, what are you talking about? Your heart's off to the left. It's in the center of your body, you dummy, right? But people don't fucking point out when you make those mistakes. They let you make those mistakes. They let you misquote it. It's just like, he got it wrong, but I know what he meant, because nobody wants to fucking bother with that. People are just assuming. It's just like, it's whatever, and it doesn't matter, which is why all the initial Mandela effects of shit that didn't matter, like fucking, Curious George and Berenstain Bears and all this nonsense, right? And yeah, you can feel really screwed up, because then you're asking yourself, Jesus, how much am I fucking hallucinating, right? Hey, dear God, how much am I hallucinating? You'll worry about, are you seeing the colors of the trees correctly, right? It's just like, how far do you want to take it once once you see it as you're having a completely different filter of reality. But you know what? The thing is that, like, it's not you're crazy. It's we're all put under a certain spell, and we get to become greater now, knowing the difference. Because I notice that a lot of fucking gifted people lot of gifted people experiencing the Mandela effect. And I think if you can, and the message, it's just like, hey, hey, listen, guys, we've had the wrong mindset about the world. The world is not this horrible place where your body doesn't make sense, right? My body makes sense now. My kidneys are safe. My heart is in a better regulatory position and safer, right? It's all these little things, right? That for the most part are improvements, and then some of them are more horrifying revelations. When you think about how we're re-understanding history, not just the way staples of our iconic culture have been, but just the history. Because of course we have the Mandela effect of Black Tom, which it's certainly true that Black Tom is not like something that like we missed. That's definitely something that like nobody wanted to framework and contextualize for 9/11, right? So nobody wanted to really acknowledge Black Tom for what it was, and especially its relationship to our declaration of war in the Second Great War, right? But I think for those of us that were seekers under this spell, and most people that are under this spell, were seekers, I noticed, right? That this was like for those that knew, because they were perpetuators of this Wetiko. Probably that terrified them when we fucking started seeing the world the way they see it. It was like, oh my god, fuck, shit, they know about Heart Center? Shit! Right? Like, it's like that's a bunch of fucking motherfuckers waking up. Right? The ones that chose to come here, the choosing ones, not the chosen ones. The unconscious are the chosen ones because they don't know where they're going. They need someone to make choices for them. You who have attained enlightenment, you are a choosing one. You have agency, you have willpower, you have rights. You can do where others can't. And it's a big permission slip to have the veil of Mandela lifted from your eyes. That's a way that I believe you can look at this, right? Because without a catching net for this idea, you're just going to look at it in a way that is not true, that devalues you. This truth has to have a valuing principle. It can't just be you were a fool who fell into a hallucination, because then you can just feel like you've got like a weak willpower, and also like it can embarrass you because of how much intelligence and wisdom you've accumulated, which before this happened there was no question about anything, right? It's just like the only problem I ever had with the Mandela Effect is that it started out with asinine bullshit like stovetop stuffing and shit, right? As opposed to starting out with bigger things like, hey, Mexico's over here now, right? These kinds of things. Sicily is over here. Cuba's this big, right? And somehow we never saw it, right? And the whole and all of these Mandela effects are uncanny valley. All of them are in the uncanny valley. They're just so different than what has sit right with your perception of reality this whole time, right? And so it rocks your Dasein, it rocks your state of being on its side for a little while. You have to readjust, right? if you're a heart-centered consciousness person, you have to reconcile your feelings with it. Don't let anybody ever fucking dismiss your feelings, right? Don't let them. Don't let them do it. You know, if it has to get out, it has to be expressed. It has to. If you have to put those words to power about people, you have to put your words to power about those people. But yeah, we are we're graduating into a new level, right? Like one of the major things is that like these Mandela effects that have become the phenomenon that have bonded everybody who has had the Mandela effect acknowledged for themselves. After the healing process of it, there's going to be because believe me, I don't need the Mandela effect to be true to have my identity, my idea of power, my authority, my sense of self, because I meditated on experiencing the Mandela effect for such a long time, because you just sit there and you think about what if all of reality just unravels, right? Because none of it really holds muster, right? What if the mushroom trip is the actuality of how things look, and everything is just twisting and funky, and sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's sickening, right? This is the stuff that runs through me. And you can cross-evaluate a whole number of things, right? I can think about how I've possibly just looked at people that in my life the wrong way, and hallucinated what I thought their character was, or whatever. It's just like, which is why I do the heart communication, because there's a lot of disjointing in that respect. Okay, I'm gonna cut it right here, my friends. The truck is here and I am running late, and maybe I'm in a little bit of trouble. Fuck, there's like 2 trucks here. Oh, it's gonna be that kind of a fucking day. All right, bye. You'll see this later.